there with the Jeskai control thing. And it's going to be Tom against Rebecca Bell playing Is It Phoenix? And it looks like they've already gotten off to a start as a Forest from Verdant Catacombs and a Noble Hierarch. That's going to die as Spirebluff Canal and Lightning Bolts. Now, Tom is at 19 from that fetch land, and let's make it at least 18 here. And we'll actually make it 16, given the breeding pool. Blighted Agent to play there for Tom, and now we'll see what Rebecca has for her second turn, which looks like another Spirebluff Canal and a Thing in the Ice.
I wonder if the Infect players are going to have to go back to the drawing board at least a little bit if these Phoenix decks really take off in popularity. Because cards like Thing in the Ice, decks playing multiple main deck copies of Gutshot in some cases, it's a much more hostile field for Infect than it was, I think, prior to Guilds of Ravnica.
Dude, I'm into Thing in the Ice. I like it.
No doubt.
I like it. Distortion Strike, huh? All right. Plus Blossoming Defense, that's 2, 3, 4?
That's my count, yeah.
4 Infect? So Tom thinking maybe he can get it done next turn?
And also that he can't wait in this kind of matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Also that, there's some chance, just main phasing the Blossoming Defense like that is a little mopey. But I think from Tom's perspective, Belle would have killed the Blighted Agent had she been able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So if she played Thing in the Ice instead of a removal spell, probably represents that she doesn't have a removal spell for the Blighted Agent.
And we saw in the first turn, Bolt the Hierarch.
Because she immediately just, bolted the first play that Tom made.
Yeah. Now this hand is pretty full over there, but I don't think there's a lot of spells. Let's see. Going to start with the Serum Visions. Thing in the Ice is going to fall down to 3. So draw a card, will Rebecca, and now scry 2. 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. Okay. There's a Steam Vents untapped. And simply going to pass the turn back. Tom is going to play the Distortion Strike, and this will be an Is It Charmed. Now we'll have to see what mode that is on Is It Charmed. It looks like it's going to be the Counterspell mode.
I would be surprised if Belle were to survive here.
Me too.
Yep.
Vines in the Vastwood, Mutagenic Growth. There will be no blocking. Yeah. Blighted Agent is unblockable. Absolutely not. And Tom Ross is going to win this game here over Rebecca Bell as Infect, a little too much for Izzet Phoenix to handle in that particular game. Those pump spells, timely. Makes me wonder if perhaps that Izzet Charm should have been dealing 2 over to that Blighted Agent.
Yeah, I don't think it would have made a difference in that spot because Tom could have simply protected with the Mutagenic Growth that he had. But I think I would prefer trying at least to kill the Blighted Agent rather than counter the Distortion Strike.
We take a look here at the sideboards now for both players. You see Rebecca Bell already going to the sideboard for 4 Surgical Extractions, 2 Abrades, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Dispels, 2 Alpine Moon, 2 Fire Mines Research. Haven't seen much of that one in Modern, so that's kind of interesting. And a Threads of Disloyalty.
The 2 Dispels here are really good, and I could be taught into some mixture of the Abrades, Anger of the Gods, and Threads of Disloyalty, though I wouldn't want all of it.
I think the Spell and Abrades are my favorites, but yeah, you got to find the right mix.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to dilute the deck too much.
You want to have a mixture of stuff that's really cheap and stuff that's really powerful if it resolves. I don't know how much of the Anger Thread stuff that you want there. Probably my instinct is no Angers and 1 Threads is good, but I could see mixing and matching that in a variety of ways.
On Tom's side, he's got 2 Dissenter's Deliverance, 2 Dispel, 2 Shaper Sanctuary, 2 Nature's Claim, and he's got those 7 1-ofs in Distortion Strike, Spell Skite, Spell Pierce, Grafdigger's Cage. Relic Progenitus, Dismember, and we haven't seen it yet, but maybe we will in this match. Carrying Call.
I still not into Carrying Call in this matchup. I think I like the Relic, the Spell Pierce, the Spell Skite, and the 2 Dispels.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They're going to sideboard, get ready to rock and roll. When we've got updates on that scoreboard, we'll let you know. Jody Keith playing Eldrazi Post against Justin Porchas playing Miracles. And then Aaron Barich with Golgari Midrange against Roman Fusco playing Jeskai Control. That's our standard match down there. So we will hop around when we can. For now, we want to talk about the StarCityGames.com newsletter, which, of course, covers all 3 formats of Magic, Commander sometimes, and a whole bunch more. It's your source for Magic the Gathering news. It's got highlights from some of our very best articles, including some fantastic work by Brian Gottlieb, one of our newest writers there on the website. Upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations, Possibility Storm, puzzle solutions, IQs and game nights near you, and best of all, it's totally free to sign up for. Go to StarCityGames.com/newsletter for more information.
Free.
Good job.
$0.
Good job. It is free. You are not wrong. Tom Ross back playing competitive Magic. If you missed us yesterday, we had him on feature match area. Round one and a couple other times as the team of Keith, Ross, and Barich are having a pretty good tournament so far. Infect is the weapon of choice here for Tom, but Tom not feeling great about his deck here this weekend, thinking that it's just okay, though he feels very confident about both Jody and Aaron's deck selection this weekend.
Yeah, I think these Phoenix matchups makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, if this becomes a deck and things people are doing, I'm not sure how good Infect is going to be.
Yeah.
Thing of the Ice is very good. These burn spells are obviously pretty good. Not insane.
Ross Miriam's build with the 3-minute gut shots is a whole new level of hostility.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's just a lot.
But that could be common.
Yeah.
Because I like Gutshot in a lot of matches in this format. The matches where Gutshot is good, it is great. So maybe that's what we end up seeing. But for now, Tom Ross, currently up a game, 35-year-old, who did reside at one time in Roanoke, Virginia. We're going to have to get that updated because he doesn't even know where he's going to reside soon. He's picking a new place to go. It's got to make sense for him to be able to travel a lot to play more Magic now. Open top 8s, there's 18 of those with 6 open wins, 4 invitational top 8s, 2 Envy wins, back-to-back, handful of years ago. 2016 SCG Tour Player of the Year, big fan of NBA Jam. He and I battle Michael Majors and Dan Musser on the reg. We, I hate to say, have lost before. Painful to lose to Michael Majors in anything. But so it goes. Can't win all the time.
It's true.
Can't win all the time. Really, no, seriously, I can't stand losing to them.
I know.
I really can't.
I know. I mean, you're a pretty competitive person generally, but you are dialed up for NBA Jam.
I do not like to lose an NBA Jam. And if you lose to Majors, he lets you hear about it. Musser is a little understated. He won't really give you the verbal beats, but Majors it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then, you're getting Facebook messages at random times of the day afterward.
My favorite comment ever in an NBA Jam game came from Kevin Jones.
Okay.
Where we shut off the catch-up mode, where it's if you're down a lot, your shots go in more often.
Yeah.
So we're beating, I forget who my teammate was or who Kevin's teammate was, but my team was up something like 80-20.
That's a lot to a little.
Kevin Jones hits a shot, and he goes, "It's a shame that the MVP never comes from the losing team." It's like, wow, is that a great line or what?
A little fun fact, by the way. Today's Kevin Jones' birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Kevin Jones.
Milwaukee, I assume.
He started 8-0 on day one.
Awesome.
Yeah. An SCG Tour favorite.
Of course.
It'll be a Pendelhaven into a Shaper Sanctuary. That's a nice card in this matchup.
Yes.
In Island, we head back over to Tom.
Spell Scout is well in Ross's hand, so a lot of cover for his Infect threats.
There is the enchantment that sees some sideboard play. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell or ability your opponent controls, you may draw a card. I think in most instances, you prefer to draw a card.
Yes. If Bell's cover in this matchup is just a lot of creature removal, this is a really tough start to beat.
Yeah.
11:30 Modern players, your round 2 parents have been posted. 11:30 Modern players, your
Alpine
round 2
Moon.
parents have been posted.
Now this one we don't see much of.
Okay. It's not a bad spot for it.
Yeah, let's take a look at Alpine Moon. And now here's Thing in the Ice. All right, as Alpine Moon enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. Land your opponent's control with the chosen name, lose all land types and abilities, and they gain add 1 mana of any color. I think predictably naming Inkmoth Nexus.
Another just really fun and sweet rare.
Here's a Glistener Health. I like the artwork.
Artwork's cool.
Classic events. Your pairing with
for the next round are now online at pairings.starcitygames.com and are currently making their way.
Glistener Elf is very well protected in this situation, folks. Spellskite and Shaper Sanctuary out there. If that thing dies, I think it's because Tom let it die.
Yes. And with that setup, Tom can be very aggressive attacking the Glistener Elf into the thing in the ice, knowing that if he has to use pump spells to play over the top, it's very hard for Bell to blow him out with removal. Counter spells can still be good, but the random bolts are not going to do very much.
Here's a Manamorphose. Thing of the Ice down at 2. Arclight Phoenix in hand now. Now here's the Faithless Looting. Arclight Phoenix down. Excuse me, Thing of the Ice down to 1.
Pairings for round 1 are now posted at the Gathering Point flag. Again, 12:30 standard. Please find your pairings at the Gathering Point flag pairings.
Looks like Phoenix and Alpine Moon are put into the graveyard. And we'll see what comes next here from Rebecca, because there's a little bit of mana floating here. And it looks like that might just be an Is It Charm. All right, transformation complete. Awoken Horror is here, bouncing all of these creatures. And Is It Charm is going to be a draw 2, discard 2.
That's
something this deck does very well.
This is a pretty nice game plan here from... Is that a...
Oh, Spellskite's a horror.
Really?
It's a Nightmare Horror. I forgot about that.
What?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Not that big of a deal. I do like Bell trying to pivot here to just rush Tom down, because managing the game with removal is impossible versus the Sanctuary and Spellskite. Yeah, okay.
No, just horror. I thought it was a Nightmare Horror. Just horror.
Whatever.
That could be anything.
I don't buy it.
What should it be instead? Tough guy?
Maybe not a, I don't know. Maybe not a creature type. I don't know.
I could see it being a construct randomly. I don't know. I like that creature type on that card. It's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a very, new Phyrexia's world sort of suggests that there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
So if it's close, I don't mind it as a tiebreaker, but.
Additionally, we have had a cellular telephone turned into our lost and found. So if you find yourself missing one and think it might belong to you,
Tom again with that Inkmoth Nexus that has been shut down by Alpine Moon.
Yeah.
As now he'll draw a card. You liked the setup that he had to start the game with Shaper Sanctuary into Spellskite plus Inkmoth.
I mean, if you assume that the post board that Tom's just all, that Rebecca rather is just all on a bunch of removal spells, Tom's opening was about as good as it gets, but Bell has successfully made the game about something else, and it's not clear if Tom can really manage that.
Yeah. Sometimes the best strategy is just to get your opponent dead. As a breeding pool enter the battlefield tapped. So we go back over to Rebecca Bell, who will draw a card. Has done a lot of draw 2, discard 2s. So I'd like to believe there's at least something good going on there in hand. Rebecca and Justin having a little chit-chat here. And while they work on what they want to do this turn, looks like a Faithless Looting, so Rebecca will draw 2 and discard 2 once again. Is a charm among those cards. If you didn't notice, Roman Fusco won game number 1 there over Aaron Barrett. So Jeskai Control is up a game here over Golgari midrange. Jody Keith and Justin Porchas, well, they're still battling, and if a game is going that long, typically I like to say things are going well for Miracles, but there's no guarantee of that.
Not in that sort of matchup.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, though, Porchas with a couple of really impactful cards for that matchup in Back to Basics and Jason the Mind Sculptor.
Yep.
But the counter spells aren't very good.
Awoken Horror and Arclight Phoenix coming into the red zone. Rebecca Bell looking to present lethal here. A Braid and Is It Charm in hand for our Is It Phoenix player. And Tom Ross not quite sure what to do. Maybe Aaron Barich can lend a helping hand. You got to remember, Barich did, for his invitational win, play Infect in Modern. So if there's anyone that could potentially help Tom out in a situation like this, it would be AB. For now, though, we're going to have just a Glistener Elf jump in front of the Awoken Horror. The Awoken Horror will get a -1/-1 counter. From that infect damage, 3 will come across. Tom will fall down to 7.
And if I'm in Bell's spot here, I don't want to cast anything. I don't want to try to play any sort of removal spell. If you have counter spells and whatever to protect yourself, that's fine. But there's no real incentive here to give Tom any looks off of the Shaper Sanctuary.
Tom with at least 2 lands in hand right now. I see a forest and a wooded foothills. So I see a distortion strike as well.
And Bell, I believe, still at 0 infect this game. So
Tom was all set up. There is Distortion Strike. In combination with Pendlehaven, will make that Glistener Elf a little bit larger. Now it looks like it's going to be a hit for 3 infect. Okay. 7 to go if you're Tom, and 7 life to go if you're rooting for Rebecca.
So it looks like Rebecca here just going to go for the kill, try to abrade the spell Skype and come across for lethal.
Not the worst idea. Important to remember, though, Tom does have access to a Dryad Arbor in there. Going to get a Breeding Pool untapped.
I suspect this is a Spell Pierce if he's willing to break the Breeding Pool, or Dispel.
And Dispel it is. Back to Rebecca will go. Awoken Horror and Arclight Phoenix are going to come in. Arclight Phoenix will knock Tom down to 1, and that Lightning Bolt will get the job done. So Rebecca Bell's going to tie things up here against Tom Ross. Is it Phoenix? And in fact, going to get ready for a 3rd and final one.
Good set of games here. I thought that Tom's opening was going to be really problematic for Rebecca there. Removal spells basically shut out, but again, she successfully made the game about a different thing, was able to race and run Tom down. Now we're going on to game 3.
See if we can get some updates here. Looks like Standards will be heading to game 3, as Aaron Barich was able to tie things up there against Ruben Fusco. And that must mean that the Legacy game is still in game 1? That's kind of wild.
Nah, that's a slow one. That can be a real slow one.
You're right, it can be slow. It can be slow. It's a bit of a slog sometimes. And they are still, it looks like, in game number 1. So you see that Ross and Bell, they're going to shuffle up here for game number 3. While they do that, let's talk about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, where you can see a whole bunch of stuff. So I recommend that you subscribe, like the Versus series and Versus Live. Versus Live, of course, with Ross Merriam, Todd Anderson, and Brad Nelson. That series has been a hit. Hopefully you're watching it every Tuesday and Thursday over at twitch.tv/SCG Tour at 1 p.m. East Coast time. You got Commander Versus with Justin Parnell, Jeremy Knoll, Jonathan Suarez, and Stephen Green, the American Dream. We got the Flashback series. We've done a handful of those, most recently with Ross Merriam. A lot of fun talking to him about his Magic career, which has been lengthy and very successful. Best of SCG Tour moments. We've had so many over the years here on the SCG Tour and a whole bunch more. Subscribe today over at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become one of over 150,000 subscribers. And thanks to each and every single one of you for subscribing as we work our way towards the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019 with some more fantastic content.
A lot up there. Years and years of material.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Talk to me.
New York Giants, how they doing?
They're looking okay, but Tampa, you know, sort of driving here.
What can Blue do for you?
The big Blue Wrecking Crew.
That's right. Looking for win number 3 on the season? That's big.
That's a big one.
That's a big third win. How many weeks are we? 3?
That's 50% of the wins they will have.
Yeah?
If they hold on to this.
That's big. Big Giants fan here is Patrick Sullivan.
Yeah.
Leading the Eli Manning fan club.
Still love them. It's never good, still love them.
There's something about mediocrity that's worth embracing.
Yeah, just open averageness.
But moments of expertise.
In high leverage spots.
I think that's important to note. Without him, we would all hate Tom Brady more than we already do.
I know.
So really, I think that one could argue that Eli Manning is maybe a national hero.
Yeah. 2 Super Bowl wins for that. It sort of suggests that anything is possible. That even if you're not that good at what you do, you also can reach the top of your field.
It's true.
2-time Super Bowl MVP.
Tom Brady, I believe, has won 5 Super Bowls.
I think that's right.
Could you imagine if it was 7?
No. It would be hard to countenance.
Right?
Right.
Goodness. So Eli Manning, thank you. I know it's been ugly the past handful of years and for most of the career. I will say this. Eli Manning is the league leader in heinous photographs.
Mouth agape. Just
It's actually kind of sad.
oblivious. What's happening? Where am I?
Yes.
Yes.
Looks like a lot of the times it looks like he just landed from outer space.
It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence sometimes.
No. Noble Hierarch looking to get in. Little regular damage. There's an Inkmoth Nexus. Rebecca Bell's going to sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. We're going to see a Steam Fence enter the battlefield tapped at the end of Tom's turn. And she will shuffle and present to the boss here in just a moment. Update there in the Legacy match. Jody Keith. He wins game number 1 over Justin Porchas. Eldrazi Post up a game there over Miracles. It'll be a Thought Scour. As actually Rebecca Bell said, I actually want to take some damage. So it'll be 17. Actually, let's make sure. We got 3, 4. It'll be 16 for Rebecca Bell. Rebecca will now play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn back.
10 a.m. Modern players, around 4 pairings are being posted. Please find your seats so that we can begin. Once again, 10 a.m. Modern, round 4 pairings have gone up.
Tom taking a long look at his hand here for turn number 3. Hierarch Forest Inkmoth Nexus is the hand.
Looking like he's about to phone in a friend.
Playing against an Izzet deck that has 2 mana available. And you have to wonder, okay, what could they have? Bolt? Izzet Charm? Various other red-based damage? You played against Ross Merriam, who had a lot of copies of Gut Shot. Is there any chance that I have to worry about that?
Perhaps, but I would probably not go too deep in playing around Gutshot here because of the Hierarch.
Think that would have gotten Gut Shotted already?
I think so.
Okay.
Not a lock.
Activate Inkmoth. Play Pendelhaven. And now attack. Exalted Trigger on the stack. Okay.
Okay.
2 Infect. Now, what's notable about Tom's play here is he could have activated that Ink Moth with the Forest instead of the Noble Hierarch. And now he doesn't have access to blue mana.
Yeah, it suggests that he's got multiple pump spells to try to protect the Nexus here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting tap.
Bell going to fall down to 15 and go get an island. And now there is an Izzet Charm.
And again, Bell trying to do this at the end of the turn, not trying to engage in combat and get played over the top by pump spells.
Mm-hmm.
11 a.m. standard players, your next round pairings have been posted. Once again, players in the 11 a.m. standard challenge, your next round pairings have gone up.
So will Tom Ross make a move here, assuming that he has a move to make? Vines of the Vastwood. And the Izzet Charm actually went after the Noble Hierarch, which is a little bit interesting.
Interesting. I think either way, Tom's interested in protecting.
This looks like it's going to be an Anger of the Gods to take care of the Noble Hierarch, or at least attempt to. So that'll work. Now, the bad news for Rebecca is that she could die right now.
Yep, coast is clear, and Ross has just drawn mutagenic growth. Although there was any hesitation here from Tom, then, you know.
Then you're still alive.
Yeah.
We've watched Tom play too much where most of the time you're just dead. Now, I guess, no, actually, he doesn't have to really work Gutshot into the calculations here.
Yeah, he has a Pendlehaven and a mutagenic growth, so he can play over the top of a free spell pretty easily.
Anthony Rasmussen and Donovan LeBeau, please report to sidelines.
Inkmoth Nexus is getting fired up. Pump with the Pendlehaven. That is a mutagenic growth. That is a Might of Old Croja. And I think that is game. Yes? 4. Yes. 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 T. Ross, the boss. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the Pendlehaven. He wins 2-1. Infect takes care of Izzet Phoenix. Standard or Legacy? Where do you want to go?
Let's go to Legacy.
Ooh.
I want to settle up for this one.
You want to get a little post action?
I do.
Throw it into the post?
I want to post up.
All right.
I want to send it down to Jody in the post.
All right. We can go in the post against Justin Porchas here. A little post-up action. All right. Jody's got a Ratchet Bomb. What on earth? What is all these forests? Here's a Predict, my kind of Magic card. Huh. It looks like he got it right. No, he didn't. Never mind. Pluto Delta, the play here from Justin. Ratchet Bomb going up to 3. A Glimmer Post and 3 Forest here for Jody Keith. There's an Expedition map. We promise he's not playing Tron. He's playing a Legacy deck. He'll get a Cloud Post. That'll be the land for the turn. Disenchant here to take care of the Ratchet Bomb as we head back over to Justin Porchas, our Miracles player. This will be a Predict once again. Terminus will go to the graveyard. A new card drawn.
Yeah.
As we head back over to Jody.
Jody a little slow out the gates here with his Locust setup. There we go. Now
Yeah, he's getting cooking now.
Yep.
Vesuva will copy Glimmer.
And again,
will copy Cloud.
This is an angle of attack that Miracles is just not that well set up to. It doesn't interact with lands all that well. And it doesn't interact with big mana spells with cast triggers all that well. And that's kind of all that Jody's deck is.
Maybe a Thespian stage there for Keith. He can copy a Cloud Post or Glimmer Post there if he wants. Looks like he will copy. And it'll be a discard there from Justin. So Justin's in some real trouble here, and Jody's in a pretty good situation. Now, I don't know if Jody has a payoff or not, but he did draw a copy of Sphere of Resistance, and that's not so bad. Because that does not hurt him very much. Now, you can see in Justin's hand, he's got a lot of copies of Force of Will. Vesuva looks like it's going to copy Cloud Post.
I think we're about to see an Emrakul the Aeon's Torn in a moment.
That would be very hard to beat.
10:30 sealed spectacular players. Pairings for round 3 are
Sphere of Resistance is making life more difficult here for Justin.
The next round is
That's a
pairing
Bajuka
rock.
Bog to ice the graveyard. That's an Expedition map. Expedition map will be countered, and it's he has to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, any land. I mean, if he gets Eye of Ugin, forget it.
Yep, he
You
has
got
to
to fight
counter.
over everything.
Which is just brutal having to counter a spell. Looks like that.
Yeah.
Here's Kozilek the Great Distortion. Pay
Cool.
1 for the Sphere of Resistance. Can we take a look at that monster of an Eldrazi? Jeez. I always liked Kozilek.
Underrated. An underrated member of the gang.
Here's the Swords to Plowshares. It says, when you cast Kozilek the Great Distortion, if you have fewer cards than 7, if you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, draw cards equal to the difference. Menace. Discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost X.
So you can just discard a Candelabra or a map to counter the plow.
There's a Thought Knot Seer, because sure. Looks like he might get the clean sweep here, folks. Aaron
Yeah.
Barich has won his match already. These two look like they might just play it out. Yep,
Yeah.
discard a Candelabra to take care of the swords. Thought Knot Seer resolves. Take a look at this hand.
Beautiful $600 mental misstep right there.
We got ourselves a Council's Judgment, a Force of Will, back to basics, and a Gideon Ally of Zendikar.
Too tiny.
Yeah,
This battle is out of Gideon's weight class.
yeah.
This is the last
That is going to do it. It's a clean sweep here for the Bayou Boys. Jody Keith, Tom Ross, and Aaron Barich, they're all going to win their matches. They'll take care of Justin Porchas, Rebecca Bell, and Ruben Fusco. So winner here for the Bayou Boys. They move on to, we got 12 rounds of books, so they're going to be 9-3 now.
Yep, and top tiebreakers, because they started off day one red hot.